Yep, we throw away tens of millions of these things every year. There's for paper towels and for bathroom tissue, and they're actually very useful and a lot of fun. And in this video, I'm going to show you a bunch of different ideas on how you can use them for arts and crafts and for making things. It'll be fun. Stick with me. Alright, so let's take a look at some paper towel tubes. And first, in this video, I'll show you a few different techniques for using them to build things. And then I will show you a bunch of projects that I made using them. We often think of the tubes as tubes and using them as such. But they are made of a material, and this material is actually kind of nice. It's kind of like a very thick, maybe 120-pound paper. So that definitely serves some functions. Like if you do Talabanco like I do, you can use it for that. You can make boxes with it. You can. It's just a nice, thick, durable, hardy paper. You can cut it open and flatten it out. Put it between put it underneath a stack of books and let it sit overnight to flatten it out even more. So consider that as a resource for its paper content. And see, I got a bunch of them here that I've flattened out. And let me show you something that I made from it, just to give you an idea that you can make just about anything. There's a nice little, neat little treasure chest. It's all single ply paper towel there. And it could make it even sturdier by gluing together multiple layers of it. So we've looked at it as a paper-like thing, but you can also cut it into strips like this. And the strips are very useful for making different types of projects. And at the end of this video, I show you a big project that I made using all of these various techniques. See, and that gives you one kind of a strip with its own texture pattern and its own characteristics. But you can also cut your tube another way, like this, as if it were a spring, as if cutting a spring out of it. And it gives you a totally different kind of texture, and the grain is different, and it's useful in a different way. It's almost like a yarn. And let me show you, I did an 11-inch tube for a paper towel and cut the whole thing in a slow, steady strip, like peeling the peel off an apple. And this is what I came up with here. All of this wonderful material. And here's something that I just made from it just to show you. Hey, look at that. It's like a little atlas. Kind of neat. Christmas tree ornament, maybe? I don't know. But that's fun. See, so you think of the tubes also as the material they're made of that's very useful. And you can stick with the tube pattern like this, cut yourself a bunch of rings, and then, I don't know, do all kinds of crazy stuff with this, make chains or glue them together. And for some reason, I like this idea, because once you applied paint to them, you could actually use these to do artwork. It'd be kind of fun, I think. Almost like a pointillist kind of artwork you probably could do with something like this. Glue a bunch of those rings together. You could do flat shapes like a painting, or you could even make three-dimensional shapes with these. Yeah, I think that's a pretty neat, be fun. You just, easier than making chainmail. Okay, so we've looked at the tubes in kind of a different way. Now let's look at more traditional ways of using the tubes. And I'm going to show you a few different assembly techniques for using them to build things. Using like the whole component of them, not just parts of them or the material of them. Well, for one thing is, this is a single tube, and I cut a notch in it, and then I could fold it over and glue it like this. And that's something a lot of times people don't think about, but it actually makes for a pretty strong assembly. So that's one complete tube. It isn't cut in half. And let me show you a couple of different techniques for assembling tubes together, because that's a big deal. If you want to make something longer, there's different ways you can assemble them together. Now you can cut a notch in one of the tubes, add glue along the notch, because it's going to fold over on itself and glue itself closed, but we're also going to insert it into another tube so we can have a longer length. And for the final project in this video, you'll see how I needed longer lengths. And this is kind of an easy way to do it, although I'm struggling a little bit here, but you get it. And it's important that you have glue so that flap glues over itself and holds itself tight, and then push it together. And if you're careful with this, they come out okay. But another technique for doing it is almost like using a connector almost like using, you know, a connector when we're putting tubes together, and I like this way better. Like if you want to make a sword or something, you might want to do this. Cut yourself a length of tube, and then cut it along the length like that, and apply glue to one half of it. Then you can install that into a tube about halfway. Expand it so the glue holds nicely. And then you can put glue on that other half and insert it into another tube, and now you have a nice, strong, longer length. And the longer you make that coupling inside, the stronger your tube is going to end up being. So that's a nice, it makes for a nice connection between two tubes or more tubes. So let's take a look at some projects that I've made with tubes in the traditional sense. Of course, there was you saw this in the beginning of the video. Kind of a fun little project there. And tinker with the different sizes to get different notes or different diatonic notes. And it's important to put it in a box because that box amplifies the sound. I experimented with a bunch of different ways to do this. The string method seems to be pretty good. Suspend them from strings and make the strings taut. Here's a larger one that I made. But you can see as the tubes get smaller, the sound gets quieter. It's less volume on the sound. But it's a fun project to work with and have some fun with it. Is that a xylophone or a glockenspiel? Or are they both the same? And here's another project. Let's take a look at this. I chose the paint for this because it kind of represents what's going on. It's a rattle. And I use lentils inside. You could use dried beans. And different sizes will give you different sounds and different amounts of lentils inside. That's fun. So what else can we make with that tube shape like that? How about a stick of dynamite? That's not real, but doesn't it look real? That's fun. And this one's all about the painting. Even that wick is paper towel tube. And of course, if I didn't make a sword, so there you go. I had a lot of fun with this. I used a bunch of different techniques. It's pretty strong because of the way I built it. And look at even the pommel is fun. Look at that. I love that. So make yourself a sword out of paper towel tubes rather than throw them in the waste. One more project. Now, this took me about 15 hours to make, I think. I didn't clog myself, but I used all the techniques of paper towel tubes to make the Eiffel Tower. And I think it came out pretty good. I love it. It's over 6 feet tall. So that's it. That's paper towel tubes, bathroom tissue tubes, and a bunch of ideas on how you can do them. I had a lot of fun doing this video. It was a lot of work. If you have ideas on what to make with tubes, leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up if you like the Eiffel Tower.